Hello, I am Lee Kinvey. I'm the intern minister of First Parish Church of Groton, Massachusetts. I use they, them pronouns. Reverend Aaliyah Kemmler and I are so glad that you are here. We are a community seeking to deepen spiritually, to take care of one another, and to be a blessing to the world. Unitarian Universalism is indeed a faith for all. So whoever you are, whatever you've done, whatever your beliefs, abilities, challenges, gifts, wherever you are on your life's journey, you're welcome here with us. Our spiritual community is vibrant and alive here in Groton, Massachusetts, and also with members and friends around the country. If you'd like more information about First Parish and our programs, events, small groups, just email us at welcome@uugroton.org, and we will be thrilled to get you connected. We have learned through the pandemic that our sanctuary is not confined to a building. We co-create it in so many ways. These days, we are worshiping outside in person at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings in front of our meeting house, so some of the service was filmed there. This week, I tell the story of how my elementary school custodian, Fred, offered some of the wisest, most important lessons I've ever gotten 50 years ago this month, and how those lessons circled back around to help me out just a couple of weeks ago. You have arrived here with some kind of tender hope tucked into a pocket. Maybe a hope for truth and meaning, a hope for solace and comfort, a hope for connection and community, a hope to feel loved and inspired. What's here for you this morning or this afternoon or this evening may be obvious, calling your name. What's here for you may be subtle, hiding in the wrinkles, in the silence, in the imperfect. What's here for you may be disguised, something you rejected or ignored or didn't even really notice. Whatever's here for you, may it serve you to help you feel less isolated, to know yourself as part of something more, and by your presence, make it true. So wherever and whenever you're joining us from, we sure hope you'll just come on in and rest for a while. Receive hope and strength. You're so welcome here. I am Lee Kinvey. I'm the intern minister at First Parish Church of Groton, Massachusetts. And I'm going to invite you now to bring your breath and your awareness more fully into your body, to let your body settle, to feel the way that the generous earth, that reliable gravity really do support you. As has become our tradition, I will ring our meditation bell 3 times and invite you to breathe deeply and remember you are whole. You belong wholly upon this earth, and that you are held in the tender love that holds us all. This first breath is for you. And the second for those you love. And the third for our whole wide world. I walked through fire, I came out the other side. I chased desire, I made sure I got what's mine. And I continue to believe that I'm the one for me, and because I'm mine, I walk the line. And we're adventurers, and heartbreak's our map, final destination we lack. We stopped asking directions to places they've never been. And to be loved, we need to be known. Finally find our way back home through the joy and pain that our lives bring. We can do hard things. I hit rock bottom, it felt like a brand new start. I'm not the problem, sometimes things fall apart. And I continue to believe the best people are free. And it took some time, but I'm finally fine. 'Cause we're adventurers, and heartbreak's our map, a final destination we lack. We stopped asking directions to places they've never been. And to be loved, we need to be known. We'll finally find our way back home through the joy and pain that our lives bring. We can do hard things. Yeah, we can do hard things. We can do hard things. We can.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Dallas, and my pronouns are they, them. I'm lighting the chalice this morning. And I want to tell you the story of my past summer and how I use nature to help me heal. So this past June, after months of feeling unwell, which I had blamed on fatigue, overwhelm, and stress, I was diagnosed with a chronic and serious illness called Still's disease. Also, by the way, like many of us, I was fatigued, overwhelmed, and stressed. As my condition worsened and questions swirled, I needed to take a step back and spend time on disability. Eventually, due to being immunosuppressed, I needed to completely give up working in person at the job that had become, for better or for worse, the center of my life. In the midst of all of these feelings, chaos, stress, uncertainty, fear, and sadness, as the dust settled, I saw the recentering of my life around my well-being as a much-needed opportunity. I began to enjoy the quiet, slow pace of being at home, finding more time to cook, be with my family, and be in nature. Despite being essentially re-quarantined at home, I committed to be outside daily as part of my healing. This eventually evolved into using items gathered from nature to make art. I saw and felt growth in my relationship with nature and my relationship with myself. I found spending daily time slowly in nature with my 5 senses got me out of the scary parts of my brain and gave me something to look forward to. I found connecting deeply into the daily goings on in the woods around me to be as important to my healing as my medical treatments. I saw a great improvement in my well-being and joy. And, excitingly, I befriended a beautiful Amanita mushroom, and I watched her grow every single day. During this time, I started writing poetry again, and I wrote a poem that I'm about to read to you. This poem is called And Then. And then I saw a chipmunk swim when I was harvesting bark. I met a speckled black salamander. I tasted an August peach. And then I saw the September harvest moon. I felt the ocean play with me, saw the splash as she, the ocean, took what I was carrying and carried it away on her infinite shoulders. And then I smelled acorns simmering. I watched the sun paint the sky with lavender fire. I found mushrooms and oranges, yellows and reds, soft and firm. I felt the cold ground on my feet, pressed them into the earth, and she pressed back and held me. And then I spent the night outside. I listened to the katydids and crickets. I let them sing me to sleep. I watched a pitcher plant grow a new bud. I saw the proud white hen teach her babies to peck the dirt for grubs. I kept our chickens company while they bathed in the dust and basked in the sun. And then my nightmares stopped. And then I dreamed with wonder of more mushrooms and peaches and ocean play and fiery lavender skies and acorn scents and chipmunks swimming and chicken routines and cumulus clouds. And then I inhaled the late summer, early autumn air, felt her fill my lungs, and then I exhaled. And then I was okay. I light the chalice in honor of our connections to nature, the earth, and each other, deepening our relationship with ourselves and bringing us to our center.
Thank you. So it is a time for a story. We're going to start with our gathering words and gestures. So we are Unitarian, Universalists, with minds that think, hearts that love, and hands always ready to help. Great. Our story this morning is a true one.
And it's from actually 50 years ago this fall. 50 years ago this month, I think, I was in first grade. And I was kind of a bouncy kid. I was not the kind of kid who was good at sitting still and being quiet. And I had a teacher in first grade who was the kind of teacher who really wanted me to sit still and be quiet. But I wasn't very good at it. So my teacher, I think one day got kind of frustrated. Her name was Mrs. Peterson. And she did something that teachers these days probably don't do. She got a piece of masking tape out and she took me back to my seat and she put it on the back of my pants and she set me down. Yes, she did. And then she took another piece of masking tape. I might not be able to get one off this roll like this. Well, it's a blessing that it's small, because what did she do with it? She put it over my mouth. Oh, it's true. And I was so embarrassed, but I was quiet and I was still. Oh, I put my head down, and I knew about Band-Aids coming off skin, so I took the tape off of my mouth with my head down on the desk. But wow, okay, like that feeling, So the rest of the class gets up and they go off to recess, and I'm sitting there with my head on the desk. And then I'm all alone in the classroom. And the custodian, whose name was Fred, who I loved because Fred gave me high fives every morning. Everybody got a high five, do it for yourself, do it with your neighbor. Yeah, he gave me a high five every morning. He was amazing. I loved him. He always wore this green shirt. So Fred came in and he was carrying a jug, and he looked around and he saw me sitting at my desk and he was like, "Pumpkin." And so he came and he got a little desk. These are like the desks where the chairs and the desk were all together, you know, and he squeezed himself in it, which was kind of amazing to me. And he kind of put his head down and he just looked over at me. And he set his jug down. And I was, trying to stop my tears. And he said, wait. Pumpkin, are there more tears that need to come out? Are they all lined up in there? Because those tears are important. He said, you got to cry all those tears or their magic doesn't work. I looked at him. What? I had never had a grown-up tell me to keep crying. All the grown-ups had always said, stop crying. What are you crying about? I'll give you all the things, right? And I was like looking at him with these big wide eyes, and he said, it's true, you got to cry all the tears or the ones inside will get mad that they didn't get out. And you don't want mad tears inside you, do you? No, I don't, no. So I cried, and he brought me Kleenex, right? And he just stayed with me until I was done. And then he picked up his jug, and he said, you know what this is? I had no idea. He said, car and tractor engines have water in them. And what happens to water when it gets cold? I was like, I know that one. It freezes, right? Ice. And he said, yeah, it's getting cold right now, isn't it? Yep. He said, so I put this stuff in it. This is antifreeze, Pumpkin, he said. And this won't freeze. Your car won't freeze. Your tractor won't freeze up if it's got antifreeze in it. Because if your tractor, the engine freezes up, they won't work. And he said, your heart, your soul, Pumpkin, is just like that. And your body is magic because your body makes its own antifreeze. That's what your tears are. Your tears are antifreeze for your heart. They're antifreeze for your soul. So that it keeps working, so you can keep loving. But it only works if you cry all your tears. So remember that, Pumpkin. Okay. He said, do you want to go to recess? And my eyes brightened. I want to go to recess. But then my face fell in again. He said, what's wrong? I said, she taped me to my chair. And if I get up, it'll rip my pants. And they'll have a hole in them. And then everybody will see my underwear. He said, I see the problem. Good thing I know another magic trick. And he went and found a pencil. And he waved it over me and he said, "Abracadabra." And I was like, "What just happened?" Because I couldn't feel anything. And he said, "What just happened is that I put a spell on that tape, and so it will not rip your pants when you stand up." I looked a little skeptical. He's like, "I promise. Do you trust me?" I'm like, "Dude, I trust you." Okay. So I stood up, and in fact, it did not rip my pants. So I got home, and when my dad got home that night, I told him all about what Fred said. And my dad was like, "I didn't know that. I'm really old, and I didn't know about tears being antifreeze for the soul. I better go meet this wise guy." So he went to school, I don't know if it was the next day or whenever, and he met Fred, and they actually became good friends, and they joined a bowling league together. And you know, as I grew up, I found that my dad and I were the two in the family who teared up when that moment came in, well, MASH is what we like to watch. So when that moment came in this TV show, and it was emotional, and we were the ones who teared up, and we just look at each other, antifreeze. So that is our story for this morning. So we'll start. How about let's do this part on Loosen Loosen. I'll start you all on Loosen Lutheran. Loosen Lutheran. That would be me. The former Lutheran here gets loose. So Sean and Catherine will stick with you Loosen people. And once you start to repeat Loosen, I will come over here and I'll lead us into Holy Breath, Holy Name. Okay? So wherever you want to split yourselves, yeah, it's up to you. What was my note? Loosen. Thank you. 2, 3, 4. Loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Okay, let's try it again. 2, 3, 4. Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? There we go. Thank you. Thank you.
I invite you now to get as comfortable as you can in your body as it is right now. To make room for the breath, to connect with the current, the source of unfathomable, luminous love that some people call God. If you're gathered in community on Sunday evening, you can share in the chat or pause the recording and unmute the Zoom and name some of the concerns, celebrations, gratitudes, joys, sorrows you're holding today. If you're here at another time, I encourage you to name these for yourself and honor them. When we witness for ourselves and for each other, our hearts stretch and open. Some of us are facing times when suffering weighs so heavy on the heart, when powerlessness passes through rage into shimmering acceptance of brutal truth, when the terrible uncertainty of what's to come sometimes eclipses any beauty that the present moment has to offer. When that happens, there's nothing left to do but to bow down to the limits and to feel our pain. To bow the forehead all the way down and expose the soft flesh at the back of the neck. And when we do rise up, because what else is there to do? May we then kindle the flame that connects us with all who have gone before us, that connects us with the spacious grace of this community of souls, that connects us with the mystery. Please hold in compassion all people who have mental illness. Please hold Christine Beverly S., who is Jane F.'s longtime best friend and broke her pelvis very recently. Please hold Ellen's son, John, and her nephew, Davin. Pamela W. wrote this morning, I would like to offer a prayer of gratitude for all the prayers and good wishes people have sent my way. Pamela writes, I am recovering slowly but surely and steadily from back surgery. We hold Karen A. and her whole family, Mary T.'s mother, Janet, Mary D.'s daughter, Jen W., Bob's sister, Anne, Jackie's mother, Sandy, Carol's sister, Lois, Christopher, Doris, Wendy, Martha's nephew, Jeremy, and Bob S. What touches one of us touches us all. We witness all of the joys and sorrows, those which you have heard today in your own heart, those you may have heard from each other, and those that remain unspoken. In the days to come, whenever any of us feel adrift or knocked sideways, ripped from our roots, may we return to whatever sense of love we can find in this heart, in this breath, in the relationships that shower us with love, in the places we feel belonging. And may that shelter, that safety, that comfort connect us to the river of love, to the current that pulls us forward and back again to community, to connection, and to each other. Amen.
Good morning. I'm Julie Andrews, and I'm going to be doing the reading. Can you hear me okay? You can? Okay. This is by Desmond Tutu and Mpo Tutu. That's Mr. Tutu's daughter. The Book of Forgiving, the fourfold path for healing ourselves and our world. You have stood at this junction before. You will stand at this junction again. And if you pause, you can ask yourself which way to turn. You can turn away from your own sadness, or you can admit your own pain and walk the path that ends. In this direction lies freedom, my friend. I can show you where hope and wholeness make their homes. But you can't push past your anguish on your way there. To find the path to peace, you will have to meet your pain and speak its name. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. As a single person living alone, I don't have a built-in scapegoat in my life. I don't have that person whom I can easily sort of heap whatever's going on inside me, which also means that as a mostly extroverted person who processes out loud, I sometimes don't have a clue what's going on inside me until I get in my car. Thank goodness for my little red Honda Fit, because behind the wheel of that car, so many of my internal workings seem to reveal themselves. It's sort of like a confessional, but I'm the confessor and I'm the minister. So a couple of weeks ago, I was having what felt like a normal morning. I had done my morning meditation, I had met with a friend, and I was driving to work, and everything seemed fine until somebody cut me off at that little place where there's an extra right-hand lane, and then it goes down quickly to one lane, and like right in front of me, and I was like, really, buddy? So you can get one more car length ahead of me? Really? Was that gonna make such a difference in your day? I'm yelling, right? My middle finger flies out, although under the dashboard level. I'm like, was it worth risking my life? Okay, rest assured that my life was not in danger. I was maybe a little unhinged. So this wave of rage comes over me, right? I'm holding my breath, my muscles are all tense, the whole thing. It was maybe the first clue that something just might be going on with me that I wasn't aware of. So I did my breathing. I told myself that I get scared when people do things that feel dangerous. I told Siri to play my favorite playlist. I got my act together. I'm a hospice music therapist, so I went to see my first patient. After my session, it was time to grab a cup of coffee. I ordered ahead on the app, but when I got there, it wasn't ready. And there was no one there near the pickup area that I could even ask. And the drink line was super long, and I didn't have a super long time before my next visit, and I'm standing there like, where's my coffee? And maybe I'll stand in the drink line to ask, where's my coffee? And it was so slow moving, and I was gonna be late, and I stormed out without my coffee. And I slammed my car door super hard. And I'm thinking, very effective coping strategy, Lee. So now I am under-caffeinated, and I am clearly agitated. Excellent. I sat in my car, and tears sprung to my eyes. Aha! A feeling! Sometimes it takes a few cues for me. I had to go see my next patient, so I couldn't deal with it then. But because I actually do have a history of keeping my promises to myself, I was able to calm down and say, okay, sweetheart, I hear you. I promise I will deal with this tonight. And it got me through the rest of the day without murdering anyone, which at that point was pretty much my goal. So there were still some crunchy around the edges moments, but I crawled through into the evening. I know that from my experience that if I had not kept my promise to myself to really deal with whatever was going on, if I decided I'm going to a movie, I'm going to eat popcorn, and I'm going to say I'm too tired, that emotion would have festered, right? It was like an infection, and I would be at high risk of infecting others with some more nastiness the next day, with actually no regard for them and the fact that none of my stuff belongs to them. If I ignore my challenging emotion, it climbs kind of into the driver's seat of my Honda Fit and sort of takes control. It is actually hard, though, to go into these difficult, challenging emotions, right? As humans, we love to push them away. And when they come with significant trauma experiences, then, we're likely to need professional support to get through them, and I've had plenty of that myself. But when we understand, with these things that come up on the day-to-day, why we need to do the work, right? We understand that it's hard and it helps, then, we do the work so that we can feel well. We do the work so that we can be ourselves and take care of ourselves and be deeply in relationship with each other. We do this work because then we're ready to meet the unknowns. We're ready to meet the challenges with more curiosity and more wonder and more energy and more openness. And that is a spiritual practice. Accessing authentic openness of heart and mind is deeply spiritual. And we can't get there when we're hurting. We can't get there when we're closed off. So this idea of listening in, what Doris Hart calls listening to your inner voice with the ear of the heart. It's about continuing to grow our relationship with ourself, not just with ourself now, but also with our younger selves who live inside of us, and with our future selves, through building relationship that is trustworthy, that is reliable. And experience has taught me that if we don't feel it, we can't heal it. Full stop. We can't heal what we don't feel. And what we don't heal, we are guaranteed to pass on. So very often to those that we love the most. Difficult emotions are like tunnels. So if we move all the way through the tunnel, then it ends and we come out and we don't have to go through that particular tunnel again. There will be other tunnels. We get used to tunnels, right? We get used to moving through them. But if it's just like Fred told me, my beautiful custodian, right? If you don't go all the way through it, if you get scared, if you get stuck, if you stop yourself from crying, if you stop your body from feeling it all, then that stickiness, that stuckness can bring emotional exhaustion. And there's so much the pandemic has brought: grief and rage and despair and hopelessness and physical illness. Oh, it just keeps going. I think of our emergency room nurses. I think of our ICU nurses. The stressors on all of us and certainly on them just keep cranking. And so sometimes we get stuck just because there's too much. So if we're utterly overwhelmed, then we need a loving presence to help us move through these emotions. But sometimes we get stuck just because we're not quite free to move through for whatever reason. So in our way, the purpose of the feelings of contraction, the feelings that I was feeling when the person cut me off, right? Everything is telling us to stop. The tightening, the hardening. The message is stop. Like, put your foot down hard on the brake and stop. If you resist, it's like driving with 2 feet, right? One is pushing the brakes and one is pushing on the gas at the same time. And that will eventually wreck your car. It will eventually wreck your life. So in terms of working gently with emotional work, stuff that comes up on the day-to-day, this isn't about the big overwhelming stuff, but those moments that come up. What I have come to realize is that I need to consider pain as a prayer. Pain is a prayer saying, stop, help. This needs your attention right now. I have to come to a full stop. If not now, then later. I have to find a safe place. So maybe I notice some things that I see. I notice some things that I hear. I notice my clothes on my body. I notice the taste in my mouth. I feel my feet. I breathe. So I'm preparing to enter a tunnel of emotion, right? Centering myself in love, in spiritual connection, and then listening to the body. Where does it want to be? Does it want to sit? Does it want to lie down? I'm very kinesthetic, so my cues to myself for when I can safely enter emotion are very kinesthetic, right? And I actually I sit and I put my hands in a certain place and I drop my head all the way so that the back of my neck is exposed, and then I just go in because I've done that so many times. So I came up here to the sanctuary in the evening that night after my story. You'll recall I had screamed at random drivers. I had stormed out of a Dunkin' Donuts. And I had promised myself after the tears came that I would come back. Because clearly that was something that was not going to be dealt with just with my breathing and with my meditation, right? So I sat down and I lit the candle and I bowed my head and my body started crying me. And I realized that morning when I had talked to my friend before work, I had betrayed myself in an important way. I had talked about a painful time in my life in a minimizing way. I had glossed over it. I had said it was fine, and it wasn't fine. And so my body was telling me, no, you don't get to do that. So I did my crying, and then I could feel that I wasn't all the way through the tunnel. So then I work with this beautiful metaphor that a writer named Emily Nagoski uses of emotions as sleepy hedgehogs. Sleepy hedgehogs who are hanging out in our bed. So this difficult little feeling, this hedgehog is in my bed. And what do you do when like a sweet little innocent hedgehog is in your bed? Like, you can't actually yell at it because, look, I mean, right? You can't toss it. You can't really just move it. You can't really sleep with a hedgehog in the middle of the bed. So the instruction is you turn gently toward it and you find out its name. This one was called Mistrust. So you speak its name, Mistrust. And you ask it, what do you need to move out of my bed? What do you need to free yourself, Mistrust? And it told me I needed to say out loud that I had messed up, that it was right, that glossing over that time in my life was not okay. I needed to apologize. I did. And I needed to go back to my friend and tell my friend I had messed up and explain it. So I did. When I promised I would do that, the hedgehog got off my bed and let me rest. Now, there are days I come to bed and there are hedgehogs rolling all over the sheets. I'm like, okay, we have a lot of work to do. It's the sweetest metaphor, and Emily Nagoski is really a genius, but she'd also be here to tell you that these are not easy conversations. This is often very complex and nuanced work. So we start with the little stuff. We start with what's manageable. It's all hard work. It's all worth it. Because strength is our body's response to doing something with effort, right? And the muscles that we need for this kind of work strengthen our efforts in doing it again. It's really important. It's really important to get a chance to move toward inner space that can be filled with joy and peace. And there's another huge bonus actually to doing this work. It's incentivized. It's like a matching gift program. Whatever love and listening and attention and empathy we give to ourselves, we actually invite that from other people. You don't have to take my word for it. You can try it yourself. Whatever love you can give yourself, you invite that from other people. And you're worth it, right? You are worth the work of healing, the work of opening again. Because only you can open your own heart. Pema Chodron wrote that war and peace start in the human heart. And whether that heart opens or whether that heart closes has global implications. So I'll end here by turning us back to Desmond and Mpo Tutu. You can turn away from your own sadness, or you can admit your own pain and walk the path that ends. In this direction, my friend, lies freedom. I can show you where hope and wholeness make their homes, but you can't push past your anguish on the way there. To find the path to peace, you have to meet your pain and speak its name. By way of introducing our final hymn, I have mentioned that my practice is to pray in the sanctuary each night. Part of it is that I go through this process of dealing with whatever's come up for me during the day. And I stay and feel it all until I am willing to sing this song, I Am Willing, by Holly Near. So let's join Catherine Ellis Moore, and I encourage you to sing with your whole heart.
It dishonors
Donna has our board for chores on the way out. If you have the ability and the time, please take one. And will you, one hand on your heart, hold the other up and look at each other. You're so beautiful. Know that we are connected with strong and sturdy threads of love. Go in peace. Be a blessing to this world. Thank you.